Alright, starting up Fraps, entering the 21st century, doing this YouTube thing, I guess, which is exciting. I am here in Guild Wars 2, Kessex Hills, with my kick-ass Silvari Mesmer, who has a very Ico theme with the awesome little horns. Yar. So, Kessex Hills has been totaled by a rampaging plot device, which happens every 2 weeks or so in Guild Wars 2 somewhere. Because they update their living story every 2 weeks, which is broadly changes to the world in general, which last for a short time and then go away and try to tell an ongoing story. I actually think they release a staggering amount of content, but maybe I'm just inexperienced. They've got this cool system where they have like 4 teams working on successive updates, and one team like launches the update like a volley of arrows and then drops back, and the other one is right there for the next 2 weeks. Anyway, so we are going to see a little bit of the living story and talk about how much fun the mesmer is to play, and talk a little bit about the quest system maybe afterwards, I don't know, and pray that this actually is recording. So over here I can talk to somebody. I've actually done my personal cutscene in the living story bit, but I can revisit by bragging about my heroic exploits, because that's the kind of guy we are. So, revisit. So, yeah, I'm going to talk a little about the mesmer mechanics, and they've done this thing in this latest update, this last couple of updates, where they've integrated some of the PvP combat mechanics into player versus environment, which I think is a great idea, because I really like the PvP mechanics. Alright, I'll shut up and let Marjorie talk. These are the 2 investigators who we sort of kind of know, and they're sort of our friends. And let's go.
God bless. It's been weeks and it's still alive. We get close and something interferes. It has to be one of Scarlet's tricks. I'm so tired. What are we missing? Not we, me. I'm missing some key element. I'm so exhausted I can't see it.
Yeah, so I was bouncing up and down in that cutscene as if I were extremely overcaffeinated.
We'll be here if you need us.
So they're just gonna let me be Sherlock Holmes for a bit. I'm going to run over here. So this is actually the final room of a dungeon instance that was released last time. So in context, we've like battled our way to the center of this. It's called the Tower of Nightmares, which is like sort of an anti-pale tree. It's just like this giant toxic mess that keeps growing and is trying to germinate and make a whole bunch of other toxic messes spring up like happy little radishes all over the place. So we've been injecting it with antitoxin, but for some reason that's insufficient. Alright. Delivery device broke down. Let's take the remaining antitoxin. Since clearly we're in hazmat gear and can do that. So jog, 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 jump. Run over here, get the compliment.
Why didn't I think of that?
Yay! Whoops. What? There we go. More antitoxin on the vines. Yay! So we are now going to be in this little puzzle room, which is really cool. It's full of callbacks to like previous events. Like
Scarlet's eyes. She knew we wouldn't be able to just kill this plant.
So the Molten Coolant Blocks is a little puzzle based on like the Molten Alliance, which is a faction. Inquest Terminal has Ether Blade stuff, who sort of are sky pirates, and they are part of the living story. These Watch Knights were originally the guards of like Divinity's Reach, the human place, and then they were taken over. And the mastermind of all of these devious schemes, as well as this Tower of Nightmares, with seemingly unlimited resources, is Scarlet Briar, who is the nemesis, but nobody quite knows what she's doing. So we can sort of like get little details about her by investigating her lab here. And we can take the stick and the dry roots, and we're going to look at this spore pod. Oh look, examine. I can't cut it, I can't harvest it. but it reacts to heat. Alright, so I can, like, solve a little puzzle. Which, clearly I've done already. And then light it in the little brazier. And then look, like an elegant ballet. Yay! Toxic Spore. And you can do, like, similar things, but I'm actually going to talk about the Mesmer combat and why I love it so much. So, the Mesmer's gimmick is... Mesmer is kind of an illusionist, but it's sort of complicated. They have, clones and phantasms, which are like versions of your character that, do special abilities. Like, some block damage, some, like, have access to abilities that you don't have, some reflect projectiles. And in addition to that interesting mechanic, I can also shatter my illusions, which these 4 buttons down at the bottom, Mind Rack, Cry of Frustration, Diversion, Distortion. I can do damage, apply confusion, daze, or apply distortion, which makes me invulnerable. And because I'm spec'd, I can actually do this with myself. I treat myself as an illusion. So in my build, which is a shatter build, it's kind of standard, I get most of my utility and damage by manipulating those 4 skills, and by cannily keeping all of my clones and phantasms up so that I have essentially ammunition for those skills. It's actually really interesting because, of course, when you shatter, your defenses are gone. Like, much of this build survives just by avoiding damage, by the clones taking it, by the clones confusing other NPCs and even sometimes players. But it's an interesting risk-reward thing. Anyway, we're going to smash this coolant box, and they're going to spawn monsters. Oh no! So, and shatter. So I have a couple of evades and some canny dazes that I can use. But it's interesting because I need to get close so that I can shatter myself as well to do irresponsible amounts of damage. So decoy, dodge, visionary duelist, leap again, and daze, dodge. So it feels very kinetic and free-flowing, and it's sort of like playing a rogue without having to be a rogue, which is kind of nice. Because I don't particularly like the rogue initiative system, but you're gonna kill me! So clearly I've been inspired by, like, Greek hubris or something, and oh no! So now I'm downed. But I'll be fine, because I can bring this guy down. I think. Surprisingly, there we go. Marjorie woke me up. So you see the NPCs sort of help as well. Yeah, slash, 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 slash. Dodge, decoy, visionary leap, shatter. So the mesmer for me really highlights the best part of the Guild Wars 2 combat, which is the mobility and the dodging. And even canny uses of invulnerability powers, which this Blurred Frenzy ability gives me. So I illusionary leap, switch places with one of my clones, shatter, become invulnerable for the counterattack, let my clones recharge, dodge, make a clone, phantasm, daze if he's picking up on me, get all my phantasms back, illusionary leap again, and shatter. So it's like this well-oiled machine that, I don't know, it always feels organic somehow.
You're onto something there.
Yay! So I'm just going to speed through these solutions. They're kind of interesting. You can, like, glean some of Scarlet's motives by, like, seeing, like, relevant sample data suggests a correlation between etheric energy output and mesmeric illusions. So, like, why would she be interested in that and that sort of thing? But since we really don't know much about Scarlet, except that apparently she occasionally teleports in during some world events and just obliterates the entire team. So I can switch out some weapons, so let's see. I'm going to grab my greatsword, which is sort of like the ranger longbow, and then I do more damage when I'm farther away. So here's a watch knight. There's a diagram here with some hints on it, with some of Scarlet's notes, since you know, she's a diligent scientist, apparently. Third phrase. So these are all phrases that have been spoken by Scarlet at other points of the living story. And we're supposed to infer the significance she attaches to them, or the context in which they appeared. We're supposed to remember that and know which one to say. So I'm going to say nothing wrong with you, I can't fix forever, and make this thing self-destruct. See, there's a little bomb icon, touch out of the way, bam. Grab my watchtower tour,
Now that's what I call...
and then because alchemy is a thing in Guild Wars 2, I'm going to shove all these things into the furnace, and they'll become something Marjorie can use to get our antitoxin thing
Now
going
that's
again.
what I'm talking about.
Does not look sort of radioactive, but I don't think that's the tone that Guild Wars 2 is trying to strike, so let's just admire that she's holding a star, or a comet, or glowy blue teardrop. Anyway, so that fixed things somehow. Alright, but I can... Whoa! All blurry and weird. See, the tower is responding.
I think you made it out. This is going to sound crazy. But what if it knows what we just did? What if it knows what we're about to do? And what exactly are we about to do? We're going to pump every last ounce of my antitoxin into the star of this thing until it can't take another drop. It's been a long day. Look out! Toxic device!
But perhaps it's still recording? Okay, so, this is what I was talking about, the PvP mechanic. So in PvP, when you down a player, you have to do extra, they get like essentially a second health bar, and you have to do extra damage to defeat them. So the rally system is very much alive in PvP. But these NPCs they also have a down state, so they try to heal each other and that sort of thing, and I suspect there's like a lore reason about how they're like infused with toxic power, distort, invulnerable, and stake. So essentially I have to stake them in the heart like vampires, which I think is really cool, because the finishing moves, and there's a ton of them that you can earn or buy, are really, really kinetic. Oh, and see, like there's a hallucination here, because there's like this crazy toxic pollen, which I also love. It sort of embodies like the ideal of Guild Wars 2 of like natural scaling, because each player present will spawn hallucinations that the group has to deal with, because apparently we have a communal hive consciousness, but it works out pretty well. So, see, the problem is this veteran toxic Oritus is poisoning the area. So, I'm gonna try to kill him, lose my Berserker for area effect. Zap. So I love that I turned my sword into a laser beam, check that out. Luckily the crate do not need to be finished when they're down, so... Shatter. Let's see, down you go. Distort, become vulnerable, and... Stake.
That's how you want to play it.
So I don't know, I just find it really elegant. Alright, see, Shatter just does a ridiculous amount of damage on this build. I can essentially kill people in 3 or 4 attacks if I have all my recharges going, and don't do something stupid. I also have tons of utility skills like quickness buffs, which make everything go faster. And sadly I don't have the staff equipped, or I'd show you some of my combos. Bam. Choke. And I also have like a lot of like portals and invisibility spells and decoys and just a whole lot of like bizarre utility skills that nobody else really has.
I'll finish this later.
Vulnerable. See, I shatter my illusions to make myself invulnerable while I'm finishing, so I can't be interrupted. Which is a really important PvP technique, since most players have some sort of interrupt while they're downed, or they can like turn invisible or teleport away. Like the Elementalist turns into mist. The Ranger, I don't even know. The Ranger probably like throws a ferret out of her pocket or something. So decoy, steal, and slash and shatter. Finish them. See, it's like Mortal Kombat. Rah! Alright, so we're successful. Deliver antitoxin. And we get this by deliver antitoxin by praying to it, apparently. We want this machine to work. We don't really understand modern technology. We're wizards or something. Why do you have a pistol? We gotta get out because the tower is collapsing in the least obvious way possible. Yay! Get us out of here. Alright, we'll collapse in 30 seconds. Alright, and here's another thing that has just blown me away lately. Not only do they have like these little instances and a whole lot of like other events that you can do wandering around Keswick Hills or even the world at large that are thematically tied to this event. And they also do the Winter's Day update at the same time, so there's all sorts of like quirky snowball fight PvP. You can like do bell ringing and a sort of Guitar Hero thing, but they also do these lovely watercolor cutscenes, which just, I don't know, the Guild Wars 2 art style, it's fantastic. And I even have the graphics turned down really, really low, so that ideally this will record with as little distortion as possible. What's happening? It's hemorrhaging! It's the Eye of Sauron, it's going to explode! Run away! Frodo! Volcano's collapsing! It had very explosive sap, apparently. That's like the most dynamic wither I've ever seen something do when it's applied to toxin. So, this explains why Keswick Hills looks like it does. There actually used to be a big tower here for like a month. And now there isn't. I actually don't particularly like how the content like shelves away into the archives and can't be accessed again every 2 weeks. But it does keep people coming back, so I suppose that's something. And a lot of the events recur, though probably this one won't. Though maybe they'll release a time stamp on these zones, and you'll be able to like choose like I want to go to Keswick Hills pre-Tower of Nightmares or something. That'd be really cool. Because then I could actually do the Halloween stuff. Alright, so let's cut this out if we can and see if it actually recorded.